Good morning, Grand Rising. Welcome once again to uh, Humanity Healing and Charlie Riverman talking to you on Friday mornings. And it's a joy for me to get up in the morning and to ask my guidance what will be the topic for today. It's interesting how each Friday is unique. Many are related to what's happening around us, and times it's one of encouragement for each of us to tap into ourselves and find ourselves in the energy field that is happening around us, which at this point happens to be the new moon eclipse, which I believe is tomorrow, the 30th. Today is the 29th, correct? Yeah, thank you. So, this is where we are, and it's always a joy to be here with each of you and to share this. The amazing thing about eclipses is that they are highly energetic and that they have the ability to teach us something or to create a space where we can learn something more about ourselves. They're not just an event in the sky, that the fields, the electromagnetic fields and the resonance fields are all changed in those moments. And there are opportunities that our ancestors look forward to, some with fear and, some with anticipation of an ability to shift their conscious awareness to what was best for the next um, period of time in their calendar year. So we also have Beltane and we have May Day coming, and so all of these are important days in the relationship of our ancestors with Mother Earth and their survival, which, if that didn't happen, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So, the message is really for all of us to just deepen into what is happening, not only just as an eclipse and a galactic event and a planetary event, but how does that call to us? That's my guides are saying. How does that call to us? So the message as I began writing my notes, which is always an interesting process, tedious sometimes, and then sometimes it flows amazingly well. So it starts by talking about the cycles of our solar system, and we are once again calling uh, the inner self to move inward and use energies to focus on healing ourselves by diving deeper into our creative and expanding spirituality. What does that really mean for the average person? Does the average person really relate to their spirituality? In this day and age, there's more and more awakening to that, yet it's not always clear as to how or why or where they're doing it. And so this is again part of the process of how do we relate to each other? How do we relate to the world? How do we relate to the um, atmosphere? How do we relate to all of these things that really affect us energetically? So again, we're being guided constantly. And in this world of turmoil, it's interesting to see how each of us can get caught up in things that are not necessarily good for us. We follow the news, we follow lifestyles, we tend to um, be driven by greed, by power, by the structure of the world around us, and how do we come back into our hearts? How do we relate to each other in the cycles of our hearts? So we're being called to move inward. We inward and use our energy to focus on healing ourselves by diving deeper into our creativity and expanding spirituality. This diving deeper creates all kinds of things. We're being asked to and guided to co create. What do we co create? We co create a more stable field of normality. What does that mean? It's a field of energy in which all of us awaken. We awaken, and we awaken all other humans with us. The gateway of our divine evolution. There's a mouthful. What is our divine evolution? We've been evolving not only physically and emotionally, but we are um, awakening and developing into higher divine beingness. And we're being asked to, create this environment that we live in here in this physical form as uh, a staging place for us to move into that higher dimensional self and bring it through and anchor it here on planet Earth. Big question that comes up for me is arising is sometimes fearful. We go through a lot of issues of fear. Where is that fear coming from? Why is that fear being generated? Uh, are we afraid of becoming who we truly are? Are we afraid of letting go of what was comfortable and what we know, our history, our past? I think it's a combination of all of those things. And the fear is fed by people who are now in control of planet Earth and humanity. They're in control in a very selfish and self-feeding way, which is destructive. It's destructive to humanity and it's destructive to Mother Earth. And I think every single one of us can say we understand that. It doesn't matter who says what and what says who. The reality of it exists. And so what we see is pollution. We see the air is not clean. We see the weather is changing. We see there's droughts. We see there's fires. All of this is part of Mother Earth's pattern of behavior. Many times she is just correcting what needs to be corrected for her to survive. We're not consciously aware of what she needs or what she is really. We think of her as this planet like Mars and Pluto and all these other things that we as humans have the right to do anything we want to it. Which brings me the big question is, who are we that we think that we have the right to destroy some other living presence? I look at planets, even though they may appear as dead to us, as a living part of the universe. And what gives us the right to do that? Where do we come from thinking that we have the power over everything? That is a problem that has developed over thousands of years. and has been fed by each culture. And I think in the beginning there was a sincere effort to try to have some semblance of organization. But as the human developed in its mind, became self aware of power, it became distorted. So all of us have that part in us that can sometimes say, I'm in charge and this is the way it's going to be. I'm sure every one of you have heard that in your lifetime, whether it be your parents or your workplace. It's not an uncommon thing when we are confronted with people who are overbearing and directing us at a very derogatory state to do what they want us to do. And we have to make that decision in the moment. Do I do that and risk my income, or do I do that and risk my life or my family? And we always sort of fold, we collapse and say, well, it's better to just go through this and not make a big issue out of it. This is how we got to this place now where we have countries with rulers who believe that they have the right to take people's lives because of their want and desire of power or oil or land or whatever it is. And yet they go to church, they go to pray to some god that is in the teachings of these gods that they worship, that this is a total um, sin, and yet they do it. So how do they justify that? How do we as just we justify what we do? This is a problem with civilization right now. And part of this new moon eclipse is that it's going to, uh, it's not a full eclipse, but it's going to darken the light. And that darkness is going to remind us of the darkness within ourselves. How do we, the message is, how do we come out of that darkness? What do we do after the eclipse? This is what eclipses do for us, is they present this period of darkness where we can look at the darkness and say, oh, okay, so here's my darkness. Now I'm going to move on. This is my interpretation. It's not anything that I'm going to say is anybody else's. I look at it and just say, right now we're being guided to co-create a more stable field of normality. And what does that mean? What is normal anymore? The reality of normality is kind of time, many times scary as well. What's normal now is bullying, is overpowering, is demeaning to all of us. We're being treated like a herd of cattle, which during this full moon, this is what the celebration was about, was they would bring the cattle out to the fields to graze because the grass was green, and they would have a ceremony. And that's what Beltane is about, is they have a ceremony where they'd move the cows through two burning fires to protect them from evil. And so this was a celebration of, hey, we're coming out of the darkness, we're coming out of the cold in the winter, and we're moving into a time of prosperity where we were living in a world of sort of diminished and tempered down living. If you look at the world today, what is this about? What is the shifting of the ages? What are the giant calendar that's thousands of years going around the cycles of the moon? We're coming into the new place on our I can't think of it, but it's the 12 symbols, Pisces, etc. So we're Aquarius. We're moving into Aquarius. brain fog is still there, which is good. Keeps me humble. Uh, so, what is this all about? What is moving into Aquarius really about? Other than looking back at the past 12, or at least the past one, and saying, what can we do differently? What can we bring into and our lives and work for the future generations for, so that they have something more to look forward to, a more uh, abundant life. These are the questions that are coming up right now in this new moon of this year, of this eclipse new moon. And I ask each and every one of you to dive deep into yourselves and ask yourself, what can I do better? Who can I be as a better person? How can I contribute to the collective whole in a way of peace and harmony and balance? And not fear the answers that you get, but be gentle with them. Be gentle with yourselves, and honor our ancestors, and honor the sun, honor the moon, honor Mother Earth, because we're gathered here in nature, okay? Just like our ancestors. And without nature, we don't exist. Without our natural environment, we are not going to survive. And right now, it's being torn apart, and it's so damaged. It's much like when you look at the pictures of um, the Ukraine, where everything is destroyed. We've done that to Mother Earth. We've done that to the forests. We've done that to the lakes. We've really, what you see there is a really, uh, we're doing to ourselves, but we've done it to Mother Earth. And we have to remember that devastation, no matter how much we build on it, and it's there. We created that damage. And it's time that we start to look at ways of survival and living that are uh, compatible with Mother and beneficial to Mother Earth. Mother Earth is in the planetary hospital, if you will, and she's got COVID and gasping her last breaths. Not pretty pictures to think, but this is what I believe this new moon is speaking to me about: is how can I contribute to the healing process of not only humanity, but everything on planet Earth, as well as planet Earth herself. So I encourage each and every one of you to think about this during the, I'm scrolling down so I can see your comments, so that you can sort of make a plan, and bring something into your life that is going to be beneficial to the whole, okay? Because we're not independent from Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a relationship, a living, energetic presence. And in that, we're even connected in her galactic relationship, whether we believe we are or not. But by being here on Mother Earth, we are automatically connected. So again, the message today is, as we come into this new moon eclipse, and take a moment to ponder and wonder, um, the questions, or the things that said, let's make time to be more focused on how we can ecologically simplify our lives. What do we not need to, what is overabundance look like in our lives? And live within a more a world where I have enough to do what I need to do without, I need 6 of these and I need them in 42 different colors. Okay? Because that it supports the economic status of what we've created. But this is where we've gone wrong. we've thinking wealth and money. And what has happened is you look at the world, we've got billionaires who have so much money that they rule the world. Enough money that they can buy at the cost of, what was it, $40 billion, they can buy Twitter. What can $40 billion do for the world and the human suffering of the world that is far more important than Twitter? You're not going to get freedom of expression by anybody owning the media to express it, because they have the power to manipulate what it is, or they let it go rogue. And then you have all people of all different, how do I say, mindsets. And I'm going to say they're not well mindsets. They're minds that have been programmed by others. They're minds that have been uh, tortured and now look at life from a different perspective, all coming together. And we look what's happening in the media, we look what happens in all of these chat things, is that they begin to fester and focus on hatred and bullying and critical remarks. And it happens right here on, Facebook, in our chats and in our things. I mean, I get things on here. People are not happy with what I say and will attack me. And I take it as part of the world relationship. But this is part of the problem. This is all part of the problem that we need to look at and start to think, how can we be more focused on ecologically simplifying our lives so that it helps to restore natural balance, both around us and within us. I'll just take a pause there. I've been rambling for a few minutes. It's a rambling day. So let's, look more deeply at our collective behavior as humans and generally see what is self-destructive. And we may not look at it as self-destructive. We may just say, well, this is what I always do. But when we follow the path from here to here to here, at the end, you see that, wow, that what I'm doing may not affect me, but it's self-destructive to humanity because the future generations are going to have to deal with this. We need a major cleanup program. And there's millions and billions of dollars that could be made with that. This is the thing that's ridiculous, is that if we started putting our intention into positive things, the billionaires could still be billionaires and be fine. But everybody benefits. Right now, the billionaires benefit, and the trickle down effect is now a drought. And it's just like the drought: no water, no life. So if we don't have the financial capabilities to support ourselves, we die as well. And it isn't all just about money, because with that comes attitudes and structures and rules, laws, and regulations that give the ability for some to not be um, punished or held accountable for. But if it was you and me and we were walking down the street doing whatever they're doing, we would be swept up and locked up and without any questions and without any real defense. So you see, this is what the new moon Eclipse is bringing up within me is how can I dive into my highest heart self and commit to elevating my consciousness rather than just going along with the tides and saying, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. We need to shift our consciousness and say, if I do one thing, and if everybody does one thing, you got 800 billion things done. This is the collective. How do we come back into that wholeness? How do we come back into the precious part of our heart and our love, which is one? It's one heart, it's one love, it is unity. We need to end the separation. And it's not just the separation out there, but this is what I'm hoping this moon will do is waken people to what do I need to stop the separation within my own heart and within my own mind. So basically that's really what we're doing here, and each one of us have an important role to play in that. I don't know what your role is. I don't even know what my role is. But I know that until we get enough people to say, hey, I can't do anything about the rivers, the Amazon River, or I can't do anything about the killing of the wild animals, but I can do something in my neighborhood. What can I do in my own neighborhood? And that's all it takes is each one of us committing to our own neighborhood at first. And that will lead to different aspects. And in the moment we do that, we gather people around us who are like minded in wanting to do this. And we feel good because we feel we've got some power back. We've got some of our power back. We have the ability to change something for the future generations to live without fear, without starvation, without disease, etc. I'm trying to stay out of the negatives that I always like to talk about, but this is about who am I? Who am I and what can I do? So during this shadowing, this time of shadows, dive deeper into your highest heart self is really what I'm just asking, and commit to elevating your consciousness. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as it's done with love and kindness. Now I'll read some of the comments. Young people aren't as thoughtful. This is true. They've been trained and programmed not to be as thoughtful. They've been programmed to look at these machines and trust these machines. And the machines, they're liars. They don't do it intentionally. But this is the broadcast system of the liars. This is the propaganda. When we look at propaganda and what it has done throughout the years of wars, people believe what they read and information they get. We've been taught to trust what we read. But when we read something that somebody doesn't like some people who, now what do we can't say the word gay? What? We're going to ban a word? Wait a minute. How do you do that? Where do you come from that you're going to change the whole concept of life based on what you think is right, not how many thousands of people whose lifestyle depends and whose life depends on their ability to be gay. I'm sorry, they have just as much right as anybody else. When we stop people from living in a peaceful, loving manner and we interject rules and regulations that are harmful to their self awareness and harmful to their self respect, what do you expect to get? And yet, these leaders that are doing this, they're pedophiles, they are wife beaters, they are liars, they are cheaters, they are billionaires who pay people to do things undercover for them. They know all the tricks in the world. They get away with it because they're at the top desk. Again, if you and I do those things, boom, off we go. So this double standard of living has to end, and we have to come back into our hearts. Morning, Victoria, Maryland. That's not true. I don't know how people aren't responsible. I don't know what that conversation is about, but let's talk about truth. What is truth? What is your version of truth? Which side do you pick? If you pick one over the other, which one's truth? Both sides believe they're speaking the truth. All of us think we're speaking the truth. I think I'm speaking the truth. The question is, stop looking for so much as the word truth. The truth of who we are and the truth of what we do, if they don't meet each other, then there is no truth. We're lying to ourselves. If we can lie to ourselves, then we're lying to everyone. I speak to you from my heart. I could change tomorrow. But the reality is that each of us are entitled to believe what we want to believe. It's when we take that belief and command somebody to follow it under penalty of death or poverty or starvation and suffering, then we have a problem. This is what we need to do now, is come back into our hearts and say, how would I feel in that place? What would I do in that place? What would I think in that place? And know that each of us, when we come back into the heart and think from the heart rather than the brain that's been programmed for so many thousands of years, there's a different pattern of behavior that flows. I'm not perfect any more than anyone else is, but I'm willing to let go of my beliefs when I see that they're harmful to Mother Earth, to other people, to the environment. It's my awareness. It's your awareness. It's not about being right or wrong. It's not about so-called truth versus lying. We're all storytellers. That's where the problem began. And the stories now have gotten so far out of whack that hard to recover. A challenge for future generations. And right now we're taking the future generations and we're injecting them with chemicals and God knows what that's in these drugs that they're putting in these kids under the guise of um, saving them from disease. They're succumbing to the greater disease of slavery and malevolence and not being able to think without being told what to think. So I leave you with this for the new moon eclipse. And when you come into that dark space, which is only going to be seen in a very small part of the world, South America and Antarctica, and I think it was South Pacific somewhere. Yeah. But the reality is that each of us have an opportunity now to just go inside in that darkness and reestablish harmony and balance within ourselves rather than continually focusing on the death and suffering that's around us, that surrounds us. See the self-destructive patterns within ourselves. Find that higher heart self in ourselves and know that humanity can't destroy that. All it can do is destroy the human. It can't destroy who we truly are in our hearts, the true self. It's impossible. No matter how much power they have, no matter how many weapons, they can wipe out planet Earth, but they can't stop us. Not in our truth. Because who you are within your hearts is the light energy that shines forever and always is moving forward. It's the light that the darkness covers and then moves past. And it does it again. And it does it again. But the light stays. The light stays. You are always the light. You are always the love. And from those two, you can always be the peace. The eclipse of our heart no longer has the power to restrain us. We are free to shine forever in our magnificence and presence once again. Let's all just take a gentle, deep breath, inhaling the light of the universe, feeling it move through our bodies, gently filling every molecule of water within us. Feel that light in the water of your being. And know that darkness has no power. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. One heart, one love. And please feel free to not understand what I say. Please feel free not to believe in it because that's who you are. But I promise you, if you look within your hearts and look for your true self, you will start to see there's a big difference between that being and the being that you're portraying here in the third dimension. Bless you all. Have a wonderful week. May the spirit of spring or fall, depending on where you are in the world, embrace you with its beauty. And may you come to love it and Mother Earth more dearly. See you next week. Love you all. Bless you, bless you.